It's that part of the day where I sing a little song it's that time of the day where I sing a little song and I press a little button and the thing go wrong. La da 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 dee da dee da dee. La 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 la. Come on, this has got to work. Hello, I am the OBG and welcome to the OBG Show. I like to come in with the long shot. This is for the news broadcast, really. Boom, and then we're live. So, thanks for tonight. Tonight I've got a wicked show planned. Had a couple of donations come in. That's what makes a difference, really. And once again, maybe a few errors. I'm a bit flustered. I've got a new system set up here and been pressing buttons, trying to get everything working for tonight so it can run seamlessly. But we'll see what happens, but I think it's going to be good anyway. So I just want to say to you, welcome to the show, you lovely bunch of body, mind, intellect and soul folk. And let's go. I've got a great show for you tonight, so do stay locked in. Got quite a few topics tonight and a few little tidbits in between. So I'm going to get straight into it. Let's do this. Right, so if you were asked a question, who are you? How would you respond? I know the answer. You are who you are. Now, it's a simple answer to what many might call a complex question. However, there's no complexity. It's how you look at it and, of course, how much you're willing to put into it, how much time to making it understandable. And if something can't be explained because it's not understood, it's because it's not understood. And for example, if a person says that they can't explain something to you, it's because they can't understand it and they can't do it, or they think you're stupid. So often when we don't understand something, it's because it's new to us and it requires that we gain more knowledge about that subject. However, this isn't always the case. Let me explain. So understanding comes if you have a methodical, though not strict approach to seemingly complex challenges that need to be resolved. And once again, that depends on your knowledge about the problem and the time that you commit to the problem or finding the answer. Now, it's hard to solve problems when the question isn't truly understood. That's a fact. For example, computing the inverse square root is a costly operation for computers. And like many problems, it might not seem so in cases will always be important, but if you're computing creating a computer game, for instance, and you want it to run at 30 frames per second using the inverse square root, which is a necessity for calculating normals to give the direction of a vector perpendicular to the plane, then it's going to be of importance. Now imagine that you lead a simple life without trying to confound it by, say, becoming a consumer, a heavy consumer at least, or by trying to fit into the roles that are sold to you or to us about who we are to be. Then by living as you and learning to be you, you'll have removed a lot of the complexity. And the argument that you're just being you, whatever you do, is foolish. Now, we have to find ourselves in amongst the daily noise. For example, imagine a community where fashion wasn't an issue. And think hard on this. Because nobody chased the brands or had the slightest concern about what the media said is in fashion this year, this month or this week, if you ignored convention and were invited to a party, all you would have to do is put on any item of clean clothing. However, because we pay heed to fashion, we struggle to find what to wear, and we add a new layer of complexity that requires solving. Now, imagine you finally did manage to get dressed in acceptable attire and you arrived at a party. Then we add another layer of complexity again by, for example, deciding what subjects we're going to talk about or what subjects are okay to talk about when we're communicating with other guests. Now, people do this often, and I often go for the safest option. They talk about how they got to the party, the route, the traffic, the weather, and one or all three of the breaking news stories for that week. And people would find you interesting, but strange if you opened a conversation by talking about your worm collection. Now, I'll get back to how this relates to being you, and if you stay until the end, I'll explain how a programmer called John Carmack, the creator of a game called Doom, solved an inverse square root problem that programmers, mathematicians, and people with an interest in real magic, still discuss to this day. So, as obvious as it sounds, you are what you are to others, and you are who you are to you. Now, stick with me. What you are is being the thing that other people see you as, an object. Who you are is being how you see yourself, and we assign who to the person. Now, we don't assign what to ourselves. Now, other people truly ever know who we are, yet they assign to us a type of person based on the traits that they see most often, both in our actions and our words. They keep it simple. Some go as far as to label us by assigning to us what they've seen in a single act or that they've witnessed or even heard. But us, on the other hand, we think we know who we are, but this requires some thinking, because I think we would all agree that we're forever changing, we're evolving, we're dynamic. And this is due in part to physiological, biological changes, mental changes, which is mostly accepted to be from gaining knowledge, taught, learned, or by influence, and of course the unknown, the mind, which I believe is an emergent property of the computational process taking place in the brain. So, question. How can we say who we are if being who we are is a dynamic, evolving process? Let me answer that for you. Right. Be who you want to be, whenever you want to, whatever you want to. That's it. But respect the rules of whichever domain that you're in. Be at whatever location you are or with whoever you are, and learn to adjust. And whatever you are at any given time, do the things that best suit the who you are at that time. Now, nurture that who, entertain that who whenever it surfaces, and do whatever that who wants and sometimes need to do. Now, stick with me. You don't have to be a guitarist, for example. You can play the guitar and you can do other things. Who you are decides on what you're being at that time. If you want to be a chess player, learn chess. You don't have to be a grandmaster. I hear people saying things like, oh, I'm terrible at chess, or I'm terrible on the guitar. That's obvious. There isn't a you that learned to do either. I do many things well. Blow the trumpet. Because I learned them. I ignored everybody that told me to get good at one thing. You can learn a little of many things at the same time. There's no rush. There's no risk to taking the rush. Take up many pursuits and whoever it takes to learn them. It does require a you that's autonomous and able to work without supervision or persuasion and willing to learn. And the beauty of learning to be that you, the hard-working, autonomous you, is that it paves the way and it opens the doors for many other yous. You have to believe that everything that is needed to be you is within you. Searching for you externally won't produce results that are conducive to your being or growth. There are external things, that's obvious, and we all require those, but they serve us. They're part of what makes us. They're part of what makes you, but they're not you. Going abroad to find yourself is often a wasted journey. It's not a journey of discovery. India, anyone? Now, you have to be that you in order to do those things that require that you. I'll say that again. You have to be that you that requires those things that need you to be you. Now, I know it sounds complex, but it isn't. It's a new idea. Take it in, challenge it if you will, but I suggest that you don't stop at not attempting to understand it. And that's the most important step in learning. Don't stop at not attempting to understand the problem. There are many people that think that they have the answer. They don't. The secret? Nah. Now, you have the answer. Listen to others, but don't try to be them. Gurus, new agers, physicists, what they call psychics, spiritualists, they simply put a bandage on your wounds, which is nice, but no matter how much a decent guru asks you not to place him in a higher place than yourself, you always will. Then you'll live in denial of doing so. That's a fact. And the reason you paid so much to see and hear what other persons have to say about how you could live your life is testament to that. Guru's guru. That's what they do. They're trained to be that. And though you don't want to be a guru, you want to be like your guru. Be yourself. Mr. Guru surrounds himself with beautiful people, the majority being always female. Nothing wrong with that, by the way. And while you're stuck on the daily commute, working hard to pay bills, a portion of your labour converted to currency made its way towards Mr. Guru's mortgage. If Guru truly wanted to help, he would talk about changing the system we live under, rather than telling you to accept it for what it is and telling you to always forgive those who do you wrong and telling you not to give way to your natural emotions except for the positive. I don't think that's a very good idea. And I do understand that there are healers out there that work with negative things, which is very important. However, the greater majority that are mostly schooled from the same old books advocate positivity and neglect the negative or gloss over it. Now, you are a leader. You take yourself to where you need to be to find yourself. Sitting in a room with 50 lost souls that paid £100 hotel and travel costs to hear another person tell them what they should know by now is foolish. Now, it's nice to be nice, to have nice things, to hear nice things and to do nice things. But we have to consider that there are negative thoughts and feelings within all of us. And we have to face them at some point. Childhood trauma, adult trauma, mental, physical, spiritual, nurture, nature, society, culture, race, class, sex, amongst many things. And amongst those, you can see the obvious and maybe not so obvious man-made constructs that require a change of you, a change of us, instead of legislation. Now, once again, the complexity creates itself when we don't truly understand the problem or know how we're going to go about solving it. So stop, think, solve. I'm trying to make it keyword, yeah? So avoiding external conflict alone is fraught with danger. And I say that, I mean danger. So how can you grow by avoidance alone? Think about it. Anyway, do what's good because it's good and aim inward to find you. If I could recommend a philosopher, I'd say Immanuel Kant. He talks about the categorical imperative, and Kant's ideas are based around the idea of philosophy called deontology, and that states that we do moral acts because they're good in themselves, not because they cause good consequences. And this should apply to how we treat our world. However, allow yourself to do good to you. Anyway, I think I've said enough. So I'll pick up on this in another show, and I'll propose some ideas for you to make you grow towards you, not my idea of how I think you should grow. Thanks for listening. I am the OBG. Right, okay. So I discovered a new pain today, and this is just a little fun thing. So I discovered a new pain and a whole new world of hurt and wonderment. So let me share that with you. Today I bit down hard on an olive seed by accident. Now it still doesn't replace a perennial Lego brick under the foot, but I bit it with my front teeth, and it's still not on par with under the foot cramp or the thing that we talk less about, the under neck yawn cramp, which hurts. But it's not a painful what the fuck pain. It's more like WTHIGO. What the hell is going on? You're suddenly in a whole new world of sensation, pain and wonderment. And I mean, like discovering your first orgasm and seeing a reindeer in your back garden at the same time, just as you stepped on a Lego brick. Anyway, I haven't included childbirth in pain because I've had mixed reports on the pain involved. And anyway, it can't be that painful. Your 5 kid having little hussy. I am the OBG. Okay, let's see who's in the OBG Lounge. Hello, Terry Wilson. Good to see you. Hello, Lorraine. Long time. Mark, good to see you, man. I'm so glad that you tune in, Mark. I really am. It really makes me happy. It makes me happy that everyone comes in, but Mark Price, he's an old school friend of mine, and we've just been apart for so long. I think I've seen him twice since we was maybe 20 years old or so. We're both 56 now. Maybe Mark's 57 already, I don't know. And that's how long we've been apart. And to see Mark pop in, the guy I really respect, very smart man, and so on, he's really made a life for himself. It makes me happy. Hello, Demas, as well. Okay, so I made a post. Yeah, I went to school. Funny thing is, I probably went to school with more than any other kid because my mum was very strict on the fact that we took the state and school education, but then we could play and do what we wanted afterwards and unlearn it. And we went to school every single day. Now, Mark will back me up on this. My family were the only kids in my entire school that had school uniform. It was a school where you didn't have to wear school uniform, and we didn't have money, so we could get a grant of the government, and you get a uniform. And someone showed me, I saw a picture from my school. I'd love to see more if anyone's got them. And I'm in my class, and everyone's just got on what they've got on, and I've got a school uniform, and I look really smart, I've got to say, but it's, you know, kind of looks odd. So I think I took 2 weeks off of my entire school life, including, you know, colds and flus. My mum was a mother that's, if your leg hadn't fallen off, you had to go to school, and even then it had to have fallen off. You know, like just now, otherwise she would have put bandage on it and some Germaline and made you go to school. So the school uniform or the poverty, we weren't poor. I spoke about this before anyway, just to say that when we didn't have the things that other kids had, and they didn't really matter. As I said before, Stretch Armstrong, a bike, a Cindy doll, you know, maybe that holiday to Truern with the school because it cost like 20 quid and you couldn't afford it. But we weren't poor. Most of the people were in the same situation anyway. And it's this whole class thing about being poor and rich and middle class and so on. There are some differences. It's a strata that's been created, but we weren't poor. We had food always. Never were hungry. We had a roof over our head, and we had the cleanest clothes in where I lived. People used to talk about mum's net curtains because they were always so white. You know, she was just clean. She wasn't any label. Oh, she's OCD and so on. No. She just liked to see her curtains white. Anyway, I want to get back into the show. I've got something else, and I posted up on Facebook recently something. It's not a movement I'm trying to start as such. All it is about alerting people. If you want more information, ask me. Send an email to obgchat@gmail.com, or, you know, ask me an hour in the show. I created a template that you could send regarding payment of bills and so on. And I say let's start a movement, and by that I mean, like, you know, do it on your own initiative, do some research, ask your friends. If you look on the OBG Show page, I posted a letter, a template anyway, and hopefully what that will allow you to do is give you the confidence to write a letter to your creditors if you do intend to pay anyway. Maybe you're late and you're getting red letters, and explain to them the crisis. I've worded it in the letter also, so if you go and look for that, that should give you some help if you're not very good at letter writing. And I've put all of the details there. You just have to change some of the words and, you know, names and so on. And my whole thing is about not paying, really, saying, look, there was a global crisis on, we couldn't go to work, we weren't getting paid, we can't pay our bills. You're a multi-billion or million-dollar company, a pound company, you're going to have to take the blow. The shareholders won't be getting, like profit this year, or as much profit, and don't pay. So, like, we was on curfew for 6 months, and we're not paying any bills in that 6 months. If you don't want to fight that hard, then simply say, can't pay, won't pay. Leave the last one out. Can't pay, but only do the first one, and let them know that you're willing to pay, but you're going to be late. And because of the knock-on effect, it doesn't mean that you're just 3 months late or 6 months. You're going to be 18 months late, and they have to take it. Write them a letter. They can't take it to court. It will be a frivolous claim because you've made an offer to pay and you've explained your circumstances. So keep that in mind. Can't pay, won't pay, don't pay, and make sure that you're not, putting yourself in any stressful situations regarding, payment of any late bills or any debts that you may have incurred during this Corona Shimona, because it's going to cause a lot of pressure for people. And I can't even sleep at night thinking that some people, worrying about paying bills. I learned how to deal with my bills a long time ago. I wrote them all off anyway. I just knocked everyone, you could say. But I found out some of the bills didn't even have to be paid, and what people may say get outs, but I don't think they're get outs. They're just ways of doing things. So let me just move on to something else. And this is about news and propaganda, really, and the propagation of news and how people treat it as gospel, or they watch the news and say things like, well, I just watch it to be critical, to see what's going on. It's like, you don't know what's going on when you watch the news. You're just watching what they want you to watch. It shapes us. Like Hollywood and the movies and, newspapers and the television, they're all there to shape us. They have no interest in telling you, the world's this big, and you claim that you're knowledgeable by watching the news. And all they've done is they've shown you that this country a bunch of baby eaters because they plan on having a war there at some time, boom, your mind's like, oh yeah, the Iraqis are really bad people, you know, and you know, they show you 4 or 5 other spots in the world. Most people just watch America anyway. You ask them anything about any of the other countries on the planet and they won't know. To them, news is America. Donald Trump, Boris Johnson, and one odd story about China, a negative story about China. That's the news in a nutshell. And I've got a little clip here. I may play all of it. It's about a minute long, a minute and 20 seconds. And it shows how the news is propagated. Typically, the news is owned by very few sources. And what they do is in the morning, they just send that out to all their little satellite channels and they propagate that news. Now, this is based on American channels, but it's applicable to any country. News is prepared at a single source, disseminated to all their mouthpieces nationally, and then it's delivered to the viewers. It's totalitarian brainwashing at its best. Now, the BBC have been doing this for years by installing their stations all around the globe and spreading the word of the empire. That's a fact. Anyway, check this out. That shouldn't have happened. I'm in Facebook jail again. How did that happen? Okay, let's go. Can't pay, won't pay. Boom. Okay. I'll fade that there because it goes on, but you get the point. And you can see that all of these news channels, they're all saying exactly the same thing at the same time on the same day. And they put these keywords out there and they, you know, like they brainwash people. So, you know, don't watch the news. It's rubbish. Learn about your local area. That's all that really matters to you at the end of the day. And if you are thinking about going to the Sudan for a holiday, then maybe just go and read up about it then. But don't believe anything you hear on the mainstream because those people don't have a care for you. They don't have a care for anybody. It's all about them supporting the people in power and about, you know, maintaining the status quo. So let me just think of a jingle. I'll do this one. Okay, I said I was going to talk about the inverse square root very quickly in relation to solving problems earlier on. So very quickly, John Carmack, he's a programmer, and I mean, he's next level. He's from another planet, this guy. And he's the creator of a phenomenally successful game called Doom. And he created an amazing algorithm to calculate the inverse square root. And what you need to do to calculate the inverse square root of a number and why it's needed so much is important for computer graphics. It's part of a calculation that's done all the time in 3D programming, which is what I got into last year. And in 3D graphics, we use surface normals, which are a 3D coordinate vector of length 1 to express lighting and reflection. And we use a lot of surface normals and calculate them involves normalizing a lot of vectors. So how do you normalize a vector? Stick with me. You find the length of the vector and then you divide each of the coordinates with it, and that is you multiply each coordinate that you want to change with the sum of the square root of x, y, and z, and then you divide that by 1. So I won't go into it here, but I will create a tech show for this. If you are interested, do a search for John Carmack inverse square root. It is magic, believe me. The guy done something which is just simply unheard of, unthought of. And myself, I've actually slowed down a little bit with the math study and 3D procedural art development recently, but I haven't stopped. I've had to prioritize. So if you like procedural art programming, know a shader toy or anything similar, hit me up and we'll take it from there. Okay, let's see who's in the lounge, at the OBG Lounge. Yeah, Lorraine, there's some similarities there. The net curtains, Can't pay, won't pay, don't pay. Well done, Becky, rebel. Once again, if it's someone who doesn't want to get into the whole shenanigans about not paying, you feel that you should just pay anyway, you've been using electricity, gas, water, whatever, then just pay it. But tell them you're going to be late. Look at the template letter. If you've someone who said, no, I'm not paying. I didn't earn any money for 6 months. Why should I, pay? The whole country shut down. But I expected to find money to pay bills, even though I wasn't earning money. Nah, not having none of that. Right, okay, so, and good to see you, by the way, Becky. What I said was before COVID, can't pay, won't pay, you ain't taking nothing away. Oh, we've got a poet in the room. Well done, Demas. People don't understand the news isn't real. I know, it's a very hard task. I've been trying to tell people for years. But I've got a friend of mine called me the other day, very smart guy, and, he phoned me up and we had this little chat and stuff. And I said to him, I saw your post on Facebook about the news. I said, why do you watch your news? He goes, well, no, it's not about, because I watch it to kind of be, critical, to kind of just see what they're up to and that. And I said, but why bother? It's like watching, something you really hate and dislike just to not like it more. It's like, why don't you just not watch it? And then you don't have to suffer. It's like, it's suffering, basically. It's pain for you. People think the world's a bad place because of the news alone. That is not alone. That is probably 90% of why people think the world's a bad place. If every day in the news they just showed you positive stuff, even just for a week, and went like, oh, by the way, the people in, like Somalia, they found this really ingenious method of cleaning water, and the people in Greece, they've, all kind of come together in this local village and decided to build houses, as a joint venture and live in them. But in doing so, they have enough funds left over to create one new house, and they'll house a homeless person in there, or homeless people. If they just kept on doing that every day, everyone would go, wow, the world's amazing, isn't it? But no. And we know the wars are going on. There's no point ignoring them. But so much of it, war. What Peter Andre had for breakfast, I haven't looked at telly for so long. I don't know who the stars are of today. Who do you think I am? And, why Kim Kardashian, shouldn't wear a particular dress, and all they do is put people down and knock people, and it's just one negative cesspit. The news, you shouldn't watch it. Anyway, digits on the screen isn't there. Absolutely. That's headache, brother. The money thing. I've done a couple of shows on the money. A couple of shows back, I went hard on the debt. I talked about fractional reserve banking, how money's created, the value of money, and how not to pay for stuff without stealing. So you go back and look at the shows. I'm not going over it again. Lorraine and you other guys, you always throwing in the one-liners. I'm going to be hard on you with this one, Lorraine. Explain stuff to people, or tell them how to do it, but don't just keep on throwing in those one-liners. Send bank to bill, So no one knows what that means in this room, apart from me and you. I guarantee that. So it's no point filling up a comment section with all these little one-liners from what to do. It's that, and I'm going to accuse you of it as well. I don't think you're doing it for that reason, so I'm not going to accuse you of it. What I mean, it's going to lump you in with everyone. That's why I moved away from the Freeman movement. Lots of boys just wearing badges of honour and showing, oh yeah, you send stuff to the bank, money step, and just throwing out these one-liners. And I understand, yes, you have that knowledge, but it's like me talking about my 3D procedural art programming and getting into a room and just shouting out like, yeah, don't forget to multiply by X, yeah, it's best to, like use the inverse square root when you want to, work out the normals, without telling anyone how to do it, just throwing in the lines. So can I ask you not to just keep on throwing in those lines? Write an explanation. Where'd you write there? Send your bill back to sender. Just do a little explanation so people know what you're talking about. Just say, look, if you do get a bill, just write on it, return to sender, send it back, and explain what it does. I think that's the greatest thing you can do. Or all this little comments that you're throwing in, maybe say to someone, if you are interested in more information on this, send some links, or let people know. But really, it just seems like you're just chucking out one-liners, and I don't think they really serve a purpose. You have been told. Come to the OBG show and get castigated. Right, okay, let me find a fella just for fun. Right, let's go over to the plea cam. The OBG show runs on donations, and it's a labour of love. And I really, have not stopped for 2.5 years, because I spent a whole year getting everything ready and thinking what I was going to do and buying equipment and stuff. And then after that, from the very first video done on this webcam to the professional looking stuff, I've just worked and worked and worked. Now, the donations that have come in have helped, and I'm grateful, but I need more, in a nutshell. And for everything else that comes in, and the fact that people are coming in to view the shows, sending me nice, like PMs afterwards, that's all support as well. So don't get me wrong. And if you can't afford to send a donation, financially, it's not an issue. Continue, please, to watch the show, but share the show. Do something that supports the show, because I'm in a very tough spot right now, and it doesn't mean I'll quit, but it means I'm going to have to shut the show down for a bit. I don't want to do that. I know I'm tugging on your heartstrings, which I think I am. So let me get back to the good stuff. Consider supporting the OBG. Let me make this sound like it's a pre-recorded message. I'm going to make this sound like it's pre-recorded. Let's do that again. Please consider supporting the OBG show. You can send donations to the numbers below, or to the PayPal account, the OBG Show. The OBG Show relies on your donations. It's a value for value show. If you get value from the show, please support it by sending what you think it's worth. Thanks for listening. Right, okay, so just gone from Castigate into Crazy Madman who laughs a lot. I do like laughing. Laughing's great. I laugh a lot anyway. I think I'm a bit mad sometimes, which is good. And it's not that I ignore the things that need to be dealt with. It's just that I think everything's funny. And when you look at it from the opposite side, it doesn't matter what it is. There's always something funny about everything. And don't bring up death and all that, because I'll tell you why it is. And I don't want to talk about that right now. So thanks for coming in tonight. Remember, if you did like tonight's show, open your banking app, send... I used to say £1, but that doesn't do anything. The cheapest cable I can get is $2.99. I need a new keyboard. This isn't working. It's a very cheap plasticky keyboard, because the other one broke, which is down here. I don't even remember in the early shows, everyone used to say to me, my keyboard's too loud because it clicks, but I like a tactile keyboard. That broke, and I've got the secondary one, but I need a keyboard, basically. I'm going to put a little link up on the show afterwards. If you want to donate the entire amount or contribute towards it, do that so I can buy a new keyboard. It really is a necessity. All the keys keep sticking here when I press buttons, like number 2, which should make a new scene come up. It tries to kill the show, which I don't like, and I need that to be repaired. So let me leave you on a positive note. You are amazing, and I am the OBG. Thanks for tuning in.